Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Chelsea news, 9 stories. We have got some banging ones to talk about today. Some exciting news regarding Chelsea. We have been finessing the Premier League again and it feels good. And we have got some exciting Chelsea transfer news to also go through today. This is not the only video that you're getting today on GBFC, as well as shorts content that I've been posting a lot more of recently. I'm going to be covering England for the Euros, which might upset some of you because you're not English, but I am English. I love it when England play in major tournaments. I cannot wait for Euro 2024, and we're going to be covering all things England as well as the Chelsea content that won't be replaced. Don't worry, I'm not going to be just doing England Euros content. Chelsea will be here every single day on GBFC whilst the tournament is going on, but we're also going to cover England too. So watch that later on today. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. And we begin with some news here from Matt Slater from The Athletic. In another setback, this is quite funny, the Premier League tried to close the loophole that Chelsea exploited when they sold 2 hotels to themselves at its AGM, but failed to get enough votes from the clubs. It also lost a vote on making clubs self-report rules breaches. And then it's also here been backed up by David Ornstein talking again about that Matt Slater article exclusively with The Athletic, saying Premier League fails in bid to close loophole, letting clubs use profits from sale of hotels, training grounds, other tangible assets in FFP submissions. Proposal at AGM fell short of 2/3 majority needed votes with 11 out of 20, I think. Or maybe it's they needed 11 out of 20 and they fell just short of that. The interesting thing here is, once again, Chelsea Football Club are at the forefront of all of these changes and loophole closures that the Premier League is looking to make. Well, how can we look at this? First of all, as much as we say that there's been a lot of things that the new ownership may have not done so well on, or might not look so clued up and smart and intelligent on, the way that they have kind of finessed the financial side of things so far, having spent all of that money, look, people can say whatever they want of Chelsea need to do this or they're going to have this punishment. We still haven't received anything. We still haven't gone under. It's all looking all right, you know. And the way that Chelsea did sell the hotel, which again, there is only so many assets you can sell. And I fully understand why we can't just be like, we've done it again, and just think about this in a positive way. There has to be a time where Chelsea can't do these little loophole things. It's kind of one of those, like, you do it once and it's your one shot. And then it's like, okay, we've been found out now. This isn't going to work anymore. And even if the Premier League do fail, or they have failed in the bid to close it, the thing is Chelsea can't resell it again. Do you know what I mean? Well, they could, but like then they give up the asset. It's just not going to be possible. So this is good news for Chelsea. And it's also interesting here, when we talk about all of these FFP loopholes, when we talk about these charges and this PSR charges that clubs have been facing for not actually going with the rules, I think it's very interesting to see how, when it comes to clubs actually voting for things, when it comes to things like the training ground, the hotels and all of that stuff, the clubs that don't actually have these assets right now, they'll be saying, yeah, we want to change things. The clubs that do will be the ones that are looking at Chelsea and being like, well, you know what? We didn't see this coming. And if there was a transfer window where we are actually struggling with FFP, but we need reinforcements, then well, we want to sell our hotels too so that we can go and spend 50 million on a player. I think it's an interesting one at the moment. And I think the more news that we see, whilst there's still that cloudy Man City 115 charges, which is like, right now it's souring the integrity of the Premier League. It's souring the integrity of football, that this is just sat here whilst we're trying to, you know, maybe try and punish Chelsea for this or punish Newcastle for that, or don't. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel right. It feels like there are double standards everywhere. But in this case, this is good news for Chelsea, because once again, we have managed to find the loophole before the Premier League change it. And it's, I guess, the smart financial moves. I guess you could say it's not smart spending £1 billion maybe. This argument could go on all day. But Chelsea have managed to sell our training grounds, sell the hotels, and as a result of that, we're doing good when it comes to PSR and FFP. Good news. We move into the first official signing of the Enzo Maresca era. First signing for Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. Tosin Adarabioyo has signed his contract until June 2028 after medical completed on Wednesday. You can see a little graphic up on the screen here of his season last year at Fulham. This is good. I think Chelsea needed to at least bring in one centre-back this summer. We've spoken a lot at length about the priorities that will be needed at the squad. I think when you lose Thiago Silva, and you're probably going to lose Chalobah as well, there's no way that we go through this transfer window and simply rely on Wesley Fofana staying fit. It's highly unlikely. We needed to bring in a centre-half, and I think as centre-backs go, to sign Tosin on a free, I actually think this is going to look really good on Chelsea in the future. I can see him getting minutes in the team. I think he's great with the ball at his feet. I think he'll be very good in a possession-based Enzo Maresca system. And I think this is a good start to the Chelsea transfer window. At the moment, we're going to talk in a moment about players that are still going to be leaving, that we might not want to leave. But Tosin has joined. I think he's a solid centre-back, and I'm excited to see what Maresca does with him. This is more news here now on Conor Gallagher. We spoke about this the last couple of days, but Gallagher ready to sit tight at Chelsea despite Spurs and Villa interest, raising the prospect of him leaving on a free. Midfielder will only move if it's right for his career. Look, it doesn't take a genius to understand this. Gallagher don't want to go to Tottenham. The only way that Conor Gallagher is going to go to Tottenham is if Chelsea make it so abundantly clear that he is not wanted at this club, no matter how he played last season, no matter what he does this year, we ain't giving you a contract, mate. And look, in terms of what Gallagher means in terms of the values of Chelsea, we've spoken about this a lot. Go and watch any of my last 3, 4, 5 videos. Every video, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. Gallagher was so important to this team last season. I think even under Maresca, where people think, possession-based football, that ain't Gallagher, mate. It is. Gallagher wins us the ball so many times to get us the ball, and then we can keep it. Do you know what I mean? That's just the top end, real bollocks lazy analysis, but it's the truth. I don't want to sell this guy, and I'd kind of like it if he did just say, you know what, give me this season again, and I will show that I'm indispensable to this club. And I believe that he will. I hope that he does. We move. Another interesting story that we're going to go into here, which might not make sense to some of you. Benson, why are you talking about a 15-year-old named Ryu Ngumo? I don't know, mate. Let me tell you why. Chelsea face battle to keep 15-year-old Ryu Ngumo. Again, I'm so sorry if I've got this pronunciation wrong. I really am. As contract talks stall. A number of clubs in the Premier League waiting to make an approach as his contract expires this summer. European clubs have also made contact. This comes from the Secret Scout. He also says, boom, soon. The reason that this is important isn't because I thought that our boy Rio was going to be the next big thing in the starting 11 next season. No. What this is it's about how the youngsters at Chelsea will look at the way that players in our academy are being treated. They will look at the pathway to the first team and think that even if I get into that first team and I show that I'm a world beater, I show that I have had the brilliant tutoring and tuition of Chelsea Football Club in this glorious academy facility that we have, yet still, I'm not going to be valued by this club. I am literally just money. There are going to be a lot of young players that have the right advisors above them at Chelsea that will be taking a look at the way that we just flog Mason Mount, the way that we're trying to just throw Trevor Chalobah and Conor Gallagher to any other club that will take them for the right fee because we need the money, we need the profit. If these young kids have got the right people working for them and with them, Chelsea Football Club doesn't look like the place to be quite honest. And young people in the world right now, they want to feel valued. There is such a disparity in the world right now between the way that the people have money, have control of things, and the way that youngsters that are trying to make their way, get themselves in front of the right people. The value of a person has become so important. And I think when it comes to football, you can see that it's hard for a youngster to make the way into the first team. It's always been like that. When your John Terrys and these players in the previous generation were coming in, they were doing real dirty work, cleaning people's boots, cleaning toilets. It might not be the same now, but there is still that psychological element where a youngster, advised well again, like I said, will look at the way that these academy players are being treated and be like, well, if this other club really want me, and I'm not just going to be seen as like a token piece of cash in the future, I'll go there and allow the start of my career to be at a place where I'm really, really wanted. And that pathway to the first team isn't with the caveat that if you do well, you'll just get flogged. And I think when you're that young and you're at a club like Chelsea, it's easy to fall in love with Chelsea. And that's exactly what we've seen with Gallagher. Gallagher loves Chelsea. So now that the club want to sell him, he's like, I don't want to go. Of course he does. He's been here forever. Chelsea, we shouldn't be looking to sell every youngster at every possible opportunity that we can. And I'm not saying here that we're trying to sell Rio, this youngster. I've never heard of him before, by the way. This isn't me trying to pretend that I know everything, but it is an important thing to think about for the future, which is why I wanted to address it today. We move into the next story. It's from Fabrizio Romano. Raheem Sterling's camp deny any contact with Fenerbahce. No talks taking place and no interest from Sterling. He's not planning to move to Turkey now. This doesn't surprise me in the slightest, to be fair. I think when it comes to Sterling, he's been one of the most frustrating players to watch last season. Obviously now there are players that are coming through at Chelsea. Cole Palmer, Madueke. The club have obviously invested massively in Mudryk as well. The issue on my side with Sterling is that if you're the highest wage earner at the club and your output is that low in terms of quality last season and clear regression from what we've been used to over the years from that player, then I don't see how he should be staying at the club. Obviously, Fenerbahce, I think at this point would be a step down. I know they got Mourinho now, no offense, but like, look, Sterling can still do it in the Prem. It's just whether or not another club are going to pay him those ridiculous wages that Chelsea have, or like, is he genuinely finished? Let me know your thoughts on Sterling in the comments down below. Another one here that is a little bit concerning, but I don't know enough about this bloke. Chelsea are extremely interested in Boca Juniors centre-back Anselmino and want to add him to the squad for next season. I don't know why I decided to do like an awful Italian accent there, but Anselmino from Boca Juniors. We obviously need centre-backs. We spoke about that earlier. This guy, I don't know enough about him. If you do know about Anselmino, please let me know in the comments down below. We move into some more exciting news because yesterday we spoke at great length about Julian Alvarez and why I would be absolutely delighted if Chelsea were to sign Alvarez from Manchester City this summer. Breaking, according to Gaston Edul, the Premier League club who's interested in Alvarez is Chelsea. Look, we have seen Enzo Fernandez, agent Enzo. He's posting a lot with Julian Alvarez. I get it when it comes to like the international teams, like players have friendship groups that aren't just in the club that they play for, which again has probably been a reason why England have failed so much in the past, where there was such huge rivalries in that dressing room. So even though Enzo is Chelsea, Alvarez is Man City, Chelsea don't care about Man City. Do you know what I mean? Like we do, because they keep winning everything. But in all fairness, in all seriousness, to keep this serious, I love Alvarez. I absolutely would love Julian Alvarez at Chelsea. Yes, it would cost a hell of a lot of money, but this is a deal that I absolutely think we could get done because he wants to leave Manchester City. If you want to hear more about what I think about Alvarez, check out yesterday's GBFC video. This is another interesting one here. Chelsea are monitoring developments with Everton striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin as they assess forward targets this summer. Look, there is one massive issue here. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a striker that has an injury record, which, well, say no more. Chelsea can't keep players fit, and we've decided we don't want to go for Osimhen because he's too much money and his injury record is bad. That's the caliber of striker we should be going for. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a quality Premier League forward. When he stays fit, he scores goals. And I think as a target man, he'd be decent. I think Chelsea do need a bit more of an aerial presence. If you bring in Bernardo Cueva, a set-piece coach that is going to work under Enzo Maresca, if you bring this guy in and pay Brentford £1 million or whatever we paid for him, then you've got to at least give Enzo Maresca the kind of players that are going to enable us to be useful in those situations. You can't have few players over 6'1" and expect to be a team that scores loads of goals from corners. The reason that Arsenal score so many goals from corners isn't just because the delivery is brilliant. It's because they've got big players. Gabriel, Saliba, they'll put the ball in the net. Calvert-Lewin could do that. We'd have a striker that could score headers again. But look, the guy doesn't stay fit. And I think that when you look at the market, Benjamin Sesko, he's tall, he's big, he's quick, he's powerful. And I think that is the caliber that Chelsea need to be going for. It's just whether or not we can prize him away from the clasps and the clutches of other rivals that want him. Milos Kerkez has been scouted by Man United and Chelsea during the season. This is the final story of the day. The man is currently playing at Bournemouth. It's one of those where, as a left-back, you're looking at Chelsea this summer. Ian Martson, Borussia Dortmund want him, but they're just skimping out and paying too little again. Ben Chilwell, he's just had a really poor season. There's been a big decline in Chile since that Champions League final, to be quite honest. He can't stay fit either. And Marc Cucurella is looking like the real deal for us now. It's looking like we actually didn't waste the money that I thought for so long we wasted on him. So Chelsea might need some reinforcements on the left-hand side of the defence. It's possible. I think Kerkez is a good player. He's still very young as well, which again, it would just add even more young players. And I think Chelsea this summer, you bring in your Tosins, who's 26, nearly 27. I don't necessarily think we're just going to be looking at young players, but that is where the market is at right now, to be quite honest. Let me know your thoughts on all of these Chelsea transfer news stories in the comments down below. Smack a like if you enjoyed it. The big one for me is Julian Alvarez to Chelsea. I would love us to sign this bloke. Your thoughts on that in the comments down below. And stay tuned. Today's later video, we're going to react to the England squad. The Euros content begins too. See you guys in a bit. Come on, you Blues.